and thanks for joining us on Live with Squacky. I'm Val Kelly, owner, president, CEO, and executive producer of Mid-Atlantic Voiceover LLC. I'm so excited about our special guest today. Zack David is a filmmaker located in Washington, D.C. Zack has worked on productions for companies such as Red Bull, Toyota, Under Armour, Westfield, House Studios, Tanger Outlets, and DeLeon. Zack started film classes after enrolling in radio TV broadcasting during high school. Upon graduating, Zack began to apprentice at House Studios under his mentor, Simon Kim, to receive his certification in film production through Film Connection, an LA-based trade school. Since working with House Studios, Zack has branched off to create his own brand, Zack David Films. Thanks so much for joining us today, Zack.
Thank you for having me.
We're honored that you would take time out of your schedule to interview with us. So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in the film industry.
I actually got started in film in a class in high school. It's called Radio TV Broadcasting. And I actually wanted to be a DJ on the radio. And so the class was split in half. And that's when I first started learning how to do video. And all my other friends, well, a lot of my friends were doing film, and they ended up going to George Mason. And I ended up not really pursuing film, and I just got stuck in like a dead-end job and ended up getting in a car accident. And when I got in the car accident, I had this old Handycam recorder, and I just started editing a bunch of footage, and I really liked doing it. So then I found a school, and I started to pursue this thing called Radio TV Broadcast, or not, what is it? LA Film Connection. Yeah, and they set me up with a mentor in the city that was closest to me, which was DC. And that's how I got hooked up with House Studio. And my mentor started to teach me pretty much everything I know, because when I was in high school, they didn't teach me too much, but I got my hands on everything when I went to House Studio. And that was, I think, I don't even really remember what year it was. I think it was 2014 when I first started there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice. That sounds like a good start.
Yeah.
I know a lot of schools have that television production program. I've had some students, because I'm also a French teacher, so I've had some students that have been in TV production, and they said that they've learned a lot. So that's a really cool way to start out and give you an introduction to it. So who are some people that have inspired you throughout your career so far?
My biggest inspirations, I guess like my ultimate goal is to make movies. Well, I don't guess, like that is my ultimate goal. And all the movies that have really inspired me have been like action-packed, but still witty. And I also love, I don't even know how to say, like folklore, like learning like legends and stuff like that. So like when Guy Ritchie did the King Arthur movie, like that was perfect for me. You know what I mean? Because I love Guy Ritchie and his wittiness, but I also love like dragons and swords and all that bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, it just really inspires me just to like tell like a crazy story, you know? But Guy Ritchie and then Quentin Tarantino, like I love Zack Snyder, like what he did with 300. Pretty much just like even Scorsese and Spike Lee and Tarantino. You know, Tarantino and Spike Lee learned a lot from Scorsese, and I've been going back and watching a lot of older films that he directed, like Taxi Driver.
Mm-hmm.
So all of that has just really been inspiring me lately. And
cool.
Yeah.
So let's see. Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about what you do as a filmmaker.
As a filmmaker, at this level, I'm pretty much doing everything. So when a client comes to me, I'm the producer, I'm the writer, I'm the director, I'm the shooter, I'm the editor. Like I'm literally everything. So my job as a filmmaker right now is to take your story and translate it as best I can and put it onto, video, audio. But It's just I don't know. It's just a lot for real right now. My job as the filmmaker right now is also to figure out what I truly want to do, because I love to shoot and I love to actually edit the footage that I shoot. But I'm realizing lately that if I were to just be a DP and shoot everybody else's projects, I wouldn't love it. So I'm pretty much seeing that I'm a director at heart. So that's pretty much what I've been doing for the past 4 years, is trying to figure out what I really want to do. And
Yeah.
me getting my hands in every single field has just shown me that, but also given me the skills to know what I need in other people to actually make what I want come true. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you definitely have to kind of try your hand at a little bit of everything when you're you know, doing what you love, and you have to try a little bit of everything so that you know, like, okay, this is where I really want to be, you know. That's kind of similar to my voiceover stuff. Like, I'm a voice actor, I do cartoons, I do all kinds of different stuff, talking toys and things like that. And I love the acting part of it. Like, that's my passion, you know. But then when I started my own company, I realized that I also like the side of it. It's kind of like a little bit of casting, where I'm organizing this big event that we have coming up in November, and I get to choose the people that I want to hire for it. And so it has, you know, similarities to being like a casting director, in the sense that I get to choose who I want. And so the same, I have my hand in a little bit of everything sometimes as a company owner. So I think that's something that you really have to do to kind of figure out, this is what I really want to do. This is where I really want to, you know, end up at some point after I get enough experience. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So what have some of your biggest challenges been so far in your career?
Well, I guess that was sort of in there as well, you know, just figuring out what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's been my biggest challenge, but also learning that as a filmmaker, you don't have to own all the gear, right? Me starting out in like the level that I started out in, I've been shooting a lot of music videos,
Mm-hmm.
and those music videos those clients don't necessarily know how the industry works. So you get a lot of friction when you're actually trying to tell them like what everything costs. And I never really like learned what everything truly costs. Like, I
Right.
shouldn't even show up with just my camera and not charge them for the rental. Like, in the true industry, clients know that you have to charge for the gear rental, even if you have the lights or a fog machine or, you know, like the scrim or like anything. Like, anything extra is extra. And that's
Right.
been my biggest challenge, is knowing what everything is worth. So I
Yeah.
don't undersell myself and try to do a $5,000 project for 500, and then I'm stuck there doing it for 5 to 20 days because I'm going back and forth with the client. So that's been my hardest challenge, is learning how everything should happen and why it should happen.
Right. So kind of the business side of it a little bit, like the business management side of it. Yeah, I think that is definitely challenging, especially in a creative kind of part of the industry, where you're the director, you're doing everything, and you're filming, and you're doing all of it, and you're editing. And then sometimes it's hard too, if you're working with people that you know, or you're trying to gain new clients, you want to give them a good price, but at the same time, you also have to be like, listen, this is what it's going to cost me, and figure out, this is what I have to charge people. And if they're not willing to pay it, then maybe it's not worth working with them. You kind of have to sometimes be able to walk away from it if they're not willing to pay, because you don't want to end up the one suffering on the other end of it, when you're like, I'm spending all this money and I'm not making it back, right? So that's something to definitely think about. So what have some of your biggest successes been?
My biggest successes, it's so hard to say because I'm so like analytical about myself and like everything. I just know I could always do better, you know? So it's really hard to say what my biggest success has been. I guess when it comes down to it, my biggest success has actually just been following my dream and not giving into the pressure and going after a 9 to 5 just to be stable. Yeah. Right now, because I haven't won like an Emmy or like an Oscar or anything like that. So I want to actually harness everything that I've learned recently, get all of my work off of my slate, and then start going after all like the film competitions and doing like short films for awards and all that. Because that's literally what I've been lacking in. So I can't really say like I've had like a huge success with any certain thing, or like you know what I mean? It's just it's really hard for me to say that. I guess just like following my dream has been my biggest success so far. I'm just not saying no.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, definitely, I think a lot of people don't take that leap of faith and say, I'm going to do what I actually want to do with my life, instead of, like you said, playing it safe and being like, I'm going to do the 9 to 5 job just because it's a steady income, which is, you know, I think to a certain extent, you do have to do that for a certain period of time just so you can like make enough to survive, you know, but like to take that leap of faith and go, I'm going to start my own company, which you did. I mean, that's huge. That's a big deal. So that's great. So congratulations on that, because that's really exciting.
Thank you.
So you're also in a band called Lucy's Letdown. So how's that going? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Lucy's Letdown is great. We are getting ready to record an album, or most likely be an EP at Blue Room Studios. And
cool.
We've been together for about 2 years off and on, because we're all, we all have our own lives going on right now, but we've all played together since high school. And we just wanted to keep that going, because every time the specific 3 of us who started the band, when we play together, it was just different. Everything just like meshed really well together. Everything was really like epic, and we didn't even have to like really talk about it. Like we would play and stop and start and do breakdowns like all at the same time, and we would know how to complement our instruments. It's like our instruments are like making love, because everything is just like really on like where it needs to be. And we just always wanted to like just keep that true energy going. And it's been a while writing all of the songs, because a lot of times we'll just get together and start playing. And then that's how we wrote the album. But we've got like 10 songs now. We've been playing shows. I have content that's coming out for Lucy's Letdown, but all of my client work's put me behind on that. So I'm just trying to get a real good balance on everything too, because I got a lot going on. Because I even have my own music, like my own personal music. Cool. So I'm still trying to balance everything with that. But the band's going well.
Good. I'm so glad to hear. That's awesome. So how long have you been, well, you kind of answered this already, but how long have you been involved in the music side of the entertainment industry? You said your band has been together for about 2 years, but you guys have known each other since high school. So how long, sorry, have you guys just had the band for 2 years, or has it been kind of ongoing?
Well, I've been in other bands. I started doing music, I would like to say 7th or 8th grade. I got my first guitar. And I remember my dad, he played bass, and he took me on a car ride one time when we were just listening to the radio. He was just asking me, he's like, so what do you really hear? You know, he's like, you know, you hear the guitar, you hear the drums, what do you hear? And then I just sort of like sat there for a second. I was listening, and I didn't know what I heard, because I didn't know what the instrument was called, because I was so young. But I heard the bass. You know, I didn't really know what it was, but I was just like, oh, I hear the guitar. You know what I mean? And he bought me a guitar, and I started playing with 2 of my other friends in 8th grade, and one was pretty good. The other one didn't know what he wanted. He didn't even really play the guitar. He just had a guitar. And I ended up just picking up a bass, and me and the main guitarist, we formed a band called like The Revolution. And then that turned into The Riffs. And it was basically like a Beatles cover band at first. And then we started writing our own songs, played a couple shows. But when I first got my bass, I started bass lessons. And I was learning from Tim Bray at Apple Music, downtown Fredericksburg. And that kind of stemmed my technical side. Because like my guitarist now in my band, he'll tell you like when I play bass, I'm technical, but I still have feeling. You know, a lot of people just want to do like arpeggios or something, but like we get real, just real. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I don't even know the word for it.
Cool.
It's all like feeling. You know, we just all let it come out in our feelings.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's see, what else? So how do you maintain balance in your life with such a busy schedule? This is such a challenge for me because I'm always like insanely busy, and I know you are too. So how do you maintain balance? Like, what do you do to kind of keep yourself on schedule? Or
That's,
don't you?
yeah, it's really hard to say that I actually am on schedule because I'm not right now. I've literally let everything from the very beginning, from when I was trying to learn the process to actually doing the work and trying to come up with all of the things that I actually want to do. It's all just been like a big snowball. And this snowball is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And now I'm starting to break it down. And that's what I've been doing like this past 6 months is I'm just like literally just saying no to anything that's going to drain my time or that's not beneficial, right? And focusing on not even like, of course I'm getting all my client work done, but me as a filmmaker, I have to focus on my grand story. Like I want to tell my Odyssey or like the Lord of the Rings, like my Star Wars. So even like finding inspiration for that gets in the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the biggest thing that I can say like to stay on schedule that has helped me mostly is like if you work late and you wake up a little late, no matter what, wake up and do what's first on your schedule, even if you feel like you don't have enough time. Like I have to wake up and I have to go work out. If I don't work out, then my schedule is all messed up and like I can't even think straight. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
even if you wake up a little late, I still do what I'm supposed to do, even if it takes me a little bit longer to do it.
Yeah.
So always, I like to schedule the night before, and then even if I wake up late, I just still follow that schedule.
Yeah.
You know?
That sounds good. Good plan. Cool. So let's see, what else? So what are some of your goals for yourself and for your company over the next few months? Like kind of narrowing it down. You gave a few of these already, like you just want to kind of fine tune what you're doing, right? But do you have any specific goals that you've set for yourself over the next few months?
Over the next few months, I plan on actually growing the company. So instead of me going out and shooting with just like one or two people, I actually want to only direct. I don't even want to shoot. I want to have an editor on set. I am going to have an assistant soon. So when you contact me, I'm not even going to be the one that's trying to book and figure out the dates and do all that because it's killing my soul, right? And then having to worry about actually making it dope because like you need someone that's going to be kind of like the bad guy, like, hey, where's the money? And then I can't be that guy and be like, oh, hey, let's go make something fun. You know what I mean? So growing the company and getting the key players involved. That's what
Yeah, definitely. I think you definitely need someone to be the one who does your scheduling for you and all that kind of stuff. Because if you're the going to be the creative side of it, who's doing, you know, the really important work, not to say that scheduling isn't important, but just almost like a manager to keep you, you know, in check of like, this is where I need to be at what time. And, you know, and then you can just simply focus on here's the actual project that I'm shooting and here's what I'm doing. And that's your main focus. So it takes out a lot of that extra stuff that you don't want to be dealing with. That's a good plan.
really need that.
Yeah. So let's see what else. What are some words of advice you can offer to those just starting out in the film industry?
Number one is just shoot. Doesn't matter what camera you have. You can use your phone, like iPhone, shoot 4K. Shoot your ass off and literally just start editing. And as you do, you will learn. But as you are doing, you must also look things up. Like as a filmmaker, you are never going to stop learning, ever. There's always something new. There's always a new effect. There's always, even if you're not an editor, you should still understand the effects and what they're capable of doing. That way, as a director, you know that it's possible to do it. You know, so like, even me as like I said, I'm making my own music. I am writing the script for my stuff, and I don't plan on actually editing this stuff, but I know how to edit, so I know like this stuff is possible. So like that always helps, you know, like just knowing the tricks, but you only know the tricks by looking everything up, and you got to be a lifelong learner. Like, you'll never stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that crosses over into many aspects of the entertainment industry too, is, you know, not just filmmaking, but like you said, in music and in voiceover, which are kind of similar editing processes. Yeah, you're always learning. It never stops. So, and a lot of times I feel like you learn by doing and by making mistakes. You learn from them and then don't make the same mistakes again, right?
Yeah,
That's just every day in life.
Yeah, get up and do it again. You know what I mean? Because you learned from the last one to do it better. That's the
right. Definitely. Okay, so how about marketing strategies? Do you have any that you've used that have been really successful for your film business or for your band that you can share with our audience?
Marketing.
Like, what do you do to advertise? What do you do to get your name out there?
I don't.
Okay.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's all been word of mouth. And how it started, I guess I was marketed when I started. So when I was at House Studio, they started the film. So at House Studio, there was an audio side and a video side. And the audio side already had an internship program coming in, and that was Recording Connection. Recording Connection had a sister branch, which was Film Connection, and the film side started to do that. And I was brought in right through there. So they always just like showcased me that I was a student. And then once I became like part of their team, I was getting broadcasted on their Twitter, their Instagram. And that's kind of how my following boosted. And people around the whole area followed them, so they followed me.
Right.
And ever since then, I never really had to market because people already knew who I was. And I kept doing good work. So once those people knew who I was, they kept talking, oh, who did this? And then it just kept happening. And now I'm here and I'm learning. I've realized exactly what I need to do. And that's like, I'm getting the whole team together. But cool. Yeah, just word of mouth. So if you do good work, people are going to hire you back and they're going to talk about you.
Yeah, definitely.
That's been my only marketing strategy so far.
Word of mouth is good. Yeah, definitely. It's a good start for sure. So how do you feel about social media? We talked about this before we started recording, but how do you feel about social media and what platforms do you use the most and why?
So visually, you know, Instagram is the best for me, and none of the other ones have really been too great. Like we were talking about before. Like when I'll always like link my Instagram post to my Facebook or to my Twitter. And even the people that already follow me on there, like they don't even respond to anything. So it's just hard to kind of figure out what needs to be said on different social media platforms because they're not all the same.
Yeah.
How you interact with people needs to be a little different. But for me, visually, it's always Instagram. Like even Vine, like I never even did Vine because I guess you had to like make your own little story, and that's more for like the skip people.
Yeah.
But, the Instagram. And even YouTube, yeah, you can even do a lot with that, but depending on the type of media you're doing, you might get a huge following, you might not. Like people on YouTube seem to actually want to follow the person and not just the content they're doing. You know what I mean? So like
right.
I've seen YouTubers that are filmmakers and they do music videos, and what they get bigger followings from doing their vlogs or their tutorials. So it's all about, you know, finding your audience. You know, Instagram is the best for me.
Yeah, definitely. I think Instagram is great because you can especially as a filmmaker and a musician, you can put out your content on there. And if you do have a good following, I think it's just a good platform to get your name out there. I do think you should think more about Twitter, because I think that you can reach a larger audience and that will get your name out there more. And LinkedIn, like we talked about before, is something to consider looking into, because there's just so many business people on there, and it's not just like CEOs of like business companies, you know what I mean? There's a lot of creative people on LinkedIn as well. So that's something just to like think about, and maybe even think about when you're hiring your team of getting like a social media person to handle that for you. You know what I mean? So they can help build your following, because marketing definitely at a certain point, I think that word of mouth can only go so far. I think at a certain point, you're going to want it to go, further than just people saying, oh, this guy is really great at what he does, and then actually advertising it will help you get your brand out there even more. So that's just something to think about. So what are you working on now that you're allowed to talk about? Any exciting projects?
What am I allowed to talk about? I've done the most exciting thing I've done recently. I actually got on the IMDb page for a movie that was shot in DC. So I actually got a credit and for working on a movie with Lil Mama. She's a artist from New York. And right now I'm working on my own visual album, which is going to be for I'm doing one for Lucy's Letdown and one for my own album, and that's like that's going to be the thing that changes a lot, because I'm not always allowed to do what I want with other videos. So this is literally my baby, and it's going to showcase everything I'm capable of, and that's what I've been waiting to push out. So because that's it's going to change everything for real. Everything you know or you think you know about Zack David is really going to change when you see this.
Awesome. We'll be looking forward to seeing that then. So tell us about your website and your social media handles for publicity, and then I'll put them in the link below the video.
Okay. So you can find my business at Zack David Films across all social media. It's www.zackdavidfilms.com. And my YouTube is actually Zack David, same as my personal Instagram, ZVCK David. Yeah.
Cool. Wow. Everyone make sure that you go and check out Zack and his film company and his music as well on social media and his website, and be sure to contact him for your next film project, music video, or otherwise. And I'm sure that he'll do a great job with it. So thanks again for joining us, and we will talk to you soon.
All right, thank you.